You are now tuned into the hottest podcast on the net, man. Tough Love Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's a lot of things on y'all side. There's a lot of things not on y'all side. And one thing I can tell you,
DJ Guate,
that's not on your side,
University,
is your
Authentic
city.
Connecting. You're now watching the Tough
Mainly
Love Podcast.
We with Tough Love Podcast.
Tough Love Podcast.
Tough Love Podcast.
Because Tough Love Podcast.
Tough Love Podcast, baby.
It's a lot of cities where they have aspiring artists coming up. The city don't get behind them and support. But, of course, they will support another non-citizen. They will support another celebrity who trending or who popping. And that's fine. It's not fine, but it is. It's just the shit you have to deal with trying to come up in the music industry, right? I see a lot of people complaining about the fact that their city don't support them, their family don't support them, their friends don't support them. And, a lot of that comes with just starting from the bottom, right? So, the sad thing about it is, and especially with our culture, is the fact that we don't like to jump behind anything until we see it in our face, right? We don't get behind an idea, but we will get behind something that somebody has manifested already. You know what I mean? Something that's tangible, something that they can see in their face, some part of success. Nobody wants to get behind a general idea and say, look, we can put this together, put that together, and ultimately become this. It's not a lot of people who are going to invest into that idea, because they just don't see the progress of it. They don't see the benefits of it until the benefits and the progress start to show its face. So a lot of us miss out on opportunities that we otherwise could have had and propelled our lives from. We'll miss out on those because we're scared to take a gamble. We're scared to take a risk. And that's a bad thing within the music culture, within the black culture, and something that needs to change, obviously. So, a couple days ago, I left a status on Facebook, and I had mentioned that if an artist really want to come up, then you had to network with people outside of your city in order to do that. And, I always speak to a particular city because, I can only give you my experience from one or two. You know what I mean? Which would be Milwaukee, which would be Chicago. So those are my experiences. And when I say or mention a certain city that needs to network outside of their city, then that's because of the experience that I've had there, the experience that I see other people having there, and the solution that I see for fixing that problem. See, a lot of people want to be the celebrity in their city. They want to be, the best thing going in their city. They want to be the most popular in their city. And that's cool. However you want to, acquire your success, do that. But you have to also understand that, your city will not get behind you unless you are already getting a notable name for yourself, unless you are already building your brand and taking it in the right direction. Just because you pick up a pen and you write on some paper and call yourself a rapper don't mean people supposed to support you. Just because Nike sells shoes don't mean you're going to go buy every pair that they have, right? You're going to pick and choose which Nikes you like the best. Now imagine if all of those shoes were artists, right? and you had to go listen to all of those artists or look at all of those shoes. You gonna only pick the ones that you like the most. Although all of these artists and all of these shoes are the same, they from the same company or the same city, so people pick and choose who they like as an artist based off of what they may relate to in a person's music, based off of the relationship that they may have with that person. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it pretty much is, and you can't force somebody to like you or to support you because you feel like you repping the city. You know what I mean? That's what I always tell artists. Represent yourself first, okay? Because a lot of people always trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm putting on for the city or I'm doing this for the city. When to be honest with you, you need to be doing it for your damn self first. Because the only way you can help the city is if you help yourself first. So that's who you represent. You the one putting the talent and the money and the grind and the time behind this shit. Your city not backing you on none of that. They not putting up no type of funding. They not helping you in most cases to do absolutely anything to help your career. So we got to get out of this I'm putting on for the city shit and put on for your family, man. That's who you doing this shit for. You're not doing it for the city. And if you is, you doing it all wrong. You know what I'm saying? Is you have to prioritize who's more important. Just because you say I'm doing it for the city don't mean the city gonna get behind you. So you have to shift your focus on what you really doing it for and capitalize on that. So, like I was telling people, network outside of your city is because you got too many haters. You got too many moving parts that's against you when you trying to only establish yourself in your city. See, the thing about it is that people still don't understand is that if this was the 90s, if this is the early 2000s, I can see your point about really trying to get your city behind you, right? But right now, you got the World Wide Web, man, where y'all have access to the world all at one time. You have access to the world all at one time. You have access to the people you otherwise wouldn't have had access to if this was the 90s. Why? Because you got to get out and physically go meet these people. You got to pop up at these seminars and these music events and all of that just to see these people. Or you got to read a magazine just to see an article in there on that person that you may have a certain interest in meeting. It wasn't the fact that now you have the access to go follow them on Instagram and DM them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have instant access to the people you otherwise never had access to. Not only that, you have access to a fan to a fan base. Before in the 90s and the early 2000s, guess what? The label had to generate you a fan base. You know what I'm saying? Dude, you didn't build or create a fan base on your own back in those days. The label looked at your talent. They said, hey, we can market that to our fan base that we already have established with our other artists who may be in the same, the same demographic as this artist. And that's what they did. But now you have the access to actually acquire your own fan base on your own. You have the access to now connect with industry DJs and executives, PRs and magazine publications on your own now. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a hell of a lot of work because every time you reach out to somebody for the first time, I can almost guarantee they won't reach back. You're going to have to be consistent and do it multiple times. And not only that, when you're reaching out to people, you have to have something to give them. You can't reach out to somebody and you don't even have a digital imprint. They can't even go Google you and find an entire page of your content. So you have to know when to reach out to people. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to, in most cases, you will have to build, especially in today's music industry, you will have to build your fan base up before you start reaching out to people to get them interested in your talent. Because people need to understand, I'm talking about investors, I'm talking about executives, people who can actually change your life. They need to understand that what they looking at is an investment, not based on the talent. It's not based on the talent anymore because of the fact that it's talent everywhere, man. And it's all relative to what you believe talent is now. So that's the way you have to look at it. When you come into somebody to invest in you, right? You say you opening up a business and you want to go to the bank for them to invest in you, right? Of course, you're going to have to write out a business plan that has X, Y, and Z in it as to how you plan to fund your business, operate your business, everything down the line. These people going to want to know what your plan is. You can't go into the bank and say, can you give me a plan? No, you have to come with a business plan, meaning that you have to already foresee what your business will make. You have to already foresee how you will generate sales. You have to already foresee how you will do marketing and promotions. You have to foresee that so you can put it in the itemized plan and take it into a bank so they can invest into you. And sometimes you have to actually already have your store open for X amount of time before a bank will invest into you, because they need to see that you know how to raise capital the right way. They need to see that you know how to pay your taxes on time, and that you know how to, establish bank accounts and different things that you need to have to operate and own a business. Then they can come put whatever else capital behind you to help propel you forward. This is the same thing that they do in the music industry. They used to go off of the talent because that's just the way the music industry was built back in the days, right? They knew people didn't have access to reach hundreds and thousands of people with no internet access, or really little, small, minimum internet access. They knew that, their networks were a lot bigger than what an artist can do on their own. But now you have the access to all of that, to all of it. You just have to know how to go out there and get it. You have to stop trying to be the person that's looking at the person that's bigger than you in your city, connecting with them or connecting with various people who really don't even serve you no purpose as an artist. They might have their own name established for whatever reason they have it established for, but that don't mean that their brand or their name can help you out. You have to be able to recognize that in those people. That's not to say, don't build a relationship with these people. It's good to have a relationship with everybody. But don't waste your time building a relationship with somebody who can't even help you out. You wasting time. So, from my experience, once I started networking with people outside of my city, man, that's when shit started changing. Because you don't have somebody there that's jealous of you. You don't have somebody there envious or saying, you from my city, you ain't nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have people who want to be you, or who want to be bigger than you, or who don't want you to be bigger than them. You have people that's willing to help you out, because the best thing they can do by helping you out is helping themselves out as well, because they'll become a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people look at it in a much bigger picture. The people in your city don't even believe in you because you're not big enough yet. They don't even believe in you. So trying to network with them is counterproductive to what you are doing for your brand. Always network with people inside your city. I'm not saying don't network with people inside your city, but what I'm saying is if you want to make a big impact, shop outside of your city, man. Shop outside of it. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just telling you something that I don't know or something that I heard or I read. I'm telling you something that I'm actually going through right now. Literally today, I don't contact nobody in my city. And it's DJs there I know I have good relationships with. It's executives there I have good relationships with. Artists there I have good relationships with. But guess what? Can't none of them help me in my career. They can't help me do nothing for myself in my career. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like the people that I even know can help propel me forward. Because they still trying to find their own way in this shit. So I need to reach a hierarchy of people. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to go to the radio station in my local city because I know that they don't even barely spin fucking local music. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't bother with it no more. I bothered with it for a long time, way too much time. And that's why I'm telling you from my experience, don't do it. Everybody think they can be the king of their city. Everybody think they can be the most popular nigga in their city. But that's all you will ever be. That's all you will ever be. Is that your end goal? Is that the end game for what you're trying to do? Because I don't think so. But that's what will happen if you come with that one-track minded shit thinking that, oh, I'm moving around my city hard. Everybody moved around, especially my city. Nigga, I know I can name literally 5 artists right now, and it's about 10 that moved hard in my city as fuck. And they still didn't get over the fucking mountaintop. Why? Because they got comfortable with just staying in their city and just doing it in their city. And that's where they at right now. Still in their fucking city. It's just another nigga come behind him, do the same exact shit. Thinking he coming up, thinking he doing this shit because he doing a couple shows, getting booked, woo, woo, woo. Listen, man. That shit is all smoke and mirrors at the end of the day. Build outside of your city, man, and I guarantee you a lot of shit will start changing for you. It really will. So, you know, when you go into labels, when you go into approach people about your music, one of the main key things that people always make a common mistake with is trying to get somebody to listen to their music or support them based on nothing that you are giving that person in return. Right? So I'm going to make an example because I need you to really understand what I'm saying. If you come, say for instance, we're going to use my podcast. If you want to come to my podcast, say my podcast doing crazy numbers. Right now it ain't. But say my podcast doing Drink Champs numbers, right? And you reach out to my podcast and say, I want to come on your podcast. I like what you're doing for the artists. You know, I want to come out there and, put my album up and, promote my album or promote my tour or whatever I'm doing and shit, right? You have to always look at it from this perspective, man. When you come into a radio show, when you trying to sit down at the table with somebody, you have to have something to offer, man. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have something to offer that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, is your brand big enough where you can help this podcast gain a couple hundred more followers? Can you add value to where you are trying to go promote your brand at? You need to be able to add value to that platform as well. Or that platform is only adding value to your career. But where's the exchange at? It's always an even exchange. It's just like when you in the in a club and you want a DJ to spin your record, you gonna just go up to the DJ and ask him to just spin your record without offering to buy a nigga a drink, get a nigga $100 or something? Cause I see people do it all the time. You know, DJs be in the middle of their mix in the middle of the night at the club, and you want to go and just throw your song in. Like, a lot of these people already have they fucking sets, you know, put together already. They know what they want to play song after song. So if you want them to go outside of what they already have on their playlist to put your music in rotation, and you coming to them empty-handed, that's the worst mistake in the world. You have to add value to that DJ. You have to be able to offer something to that DJ in exchange for his services to you. It's the same way when you're going to try to do an interview with somebody. It's the same way when you're trying to go sit down at a label with somebody. It's the same way when you're asking somebody for management. It's the same way when you want to have a meeting with an industry executive. You always have to have something to offer that person. It don't matter how big their platform is. When you help them add value to that platform, they don't mind putting you on it, because y'all both get something out of it. So you have to think from that perspective. A lot of y'all don't have nothing to give, nothing to offer. And that's not a problem. The problem is you don't understand that you have to build that on your own. You have to build it on your own. You have to build your fan base on your own, man. You have to get popping on your own nowadays. This is not an industry where a motherfucker finna sign you and you don't even have a fan base. You know why? And I'm going to tell you why. Investment. That's a bad investment. Now I got to spend thousands or $100,000s to get people to even know who this nigga is. When there's people out here that, you know, that's coming with fan bases. They coming with over 20,000 fans that's on their social medias every day. That's clicking on their YouTube videos and, you know what I'm saying, sharing their posts and mentioning them in statuses and shit like that. So you have to always look at it like that, man. Like, this is a serious game, man. And it's so oversaturated where you will get lost in the sauce if you're doing this shit all wrong. So that's what I wanted to touch on, because I know artists don't be understanding what I be saying about get out your city. And, you know, I can't speak to every city, but I know mine. You have to get out that motherfucker. And that's the bottom fucking line. You have to get out that motherfucker. You understand what I'm saying? And getting out don't necessarily mean move out. It means move the fuck around from Milwaukee, man. Go to, you know, you can Google shit nowadays, right? You can find out what's the next festival, what's the next music seminar, what's the next, you know, meet and greet. You know, just go to different shit, meet people. Because you never know, somebody you meet at a fucking open mic that you was really just going to support might be the person that might change your life. But you would never know if you never in the building. If you expecting them to find you, you would never know. Sometimes you have to go out here, and not really all the time, you have to go out here and find a motherfucker. You have to find the people you want. It's a lot of work. Being an artist is a lot of work. Because when you start out, you don't have all of the resources that you need. So you have to be every resource that you don't have. You have to be your own manager. You have to be your own publicist. You have to be your own road manager. You have to be your own marketer. You have to be your own promotions manager. You have to be your own everything until you can acquire these people to fill those positions. That's the game, though. A lot of people not ready for that. The consistency of it. Every day waking up, posting statuses, but not getting nearly enough likes, comments, views, shares, and shit like that, right? So it's almost like, damn, is this working or is it not? But the consistency, man. You have to be consistent. Every single thing you came with before, the next thing you come with gotta be better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always have to upgrade your brand, man. Always upgrade your look, your image, everything. The shit that you talking about in your raps, you have to look like that. Or your songs, whatever. You have to look like that. You have to make people feel that you really know what the fuck you talking about. So, with that being said, man, I'm going to leave y'all with that. Like I said, network in your city, but most importantly, network outside your city, and you will see how everything changing. You don't believe me? You keep doing what you're doing, and we'll talk about this again in the next year or two or whatever, when you still in the same position you in because you didn't want to listen. This your boy Trey G, and you are now tuned into the hottest station on the net, man. Tuff Love Podcast. Let's get it. You are now tuned into the hottest podcast on the net, man. Tuff Love Podcast.